You cannot trust God except you obey God. Trusting and obeying are the two essential ingredients to serving God and to being guided by God. And obedience requires trust, for without the assistance of God, we cannot succeed. Did you know that? Amen. Without the assistance of God, we cannot succeed. But with the assistance of God, we cannot fail. Amen. Amen. We cannot fail if we have God on our side. We cannot fail if we truly, and when we have God truly in our hearts. We cannot fail when we hold on to this word for what it speaks to us. Amen. We cannot fail if we walk it out. We cannot fail when we listen. It doesn't matter how long you've been waiting. Amen. 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 Glory be to God. I was in Schaumburg on Friday at the annual Pastor's Appreciation Luncheon for Chicagoland, and the speaker was from California. And actually, I think he had moved there, and he was from Chicago, and he ended up in Washington, D.C. And he had a church here, and it wasn't a flourishing ministry, but he ended up somehow moving to Washington. And he's at the Capitol, and he was just talking about how he made his journey and how he got there. He said these words. He said, I have 7 services. Yes, I do. He said, and I have my church is filled with 20-somethings. He said, I have members of Congress who are part of my congregation. That's the young man. He said, I have members of Congress who are part. I have senators and their children who are part. He said, but I've got to let you know that it didn't happen in year 1. It didn't happen in year 2. It didn't happen in year 3. See, I need to tell somebody that it might not happen when you expect it to happen, but you just got to keep on moving. You got to keep on going. You just can't stop. If you stop, it'll never happen. But what he said was this. He said he was interviewed by the Washington Post. And they kept telling him that we're going to put you in the religion section. And they kept telling him that, if it makes the cut, you'll be in this Sunday. And he said this final Sunday, after not being in for several weeks, he went to every Sunday to find the paper. And he said, I went and found the paper, and I went to the religion page. He said, and I couldn't find us, and I was so disappointed. And I said, oh, we didn't make the cut again. And he said, he put the paper back, because he said, I wasn't buying it and we weren't in it. So he said, when he put the paper back, he looked on the front page, and the church was on the front page of the Washington Post. And he said, from that day to this one, in a matter of months, he said that was the greatest growth that church has ever experienced. I came to tell some of you here, you might not believe in this vision, but one day you're going to come through that door and be a visitor. And all of these seats are going to be filled because it just takes one day. All it takes is one action from God. Whatever it is that you're holding on to, it just takes one action, Sister Carlotta. That's all. But you got to believe against all odds. What happens is we put the newspaper back when we don't see it. But if he had looked a little further, come on, somebody. You got to be able to look a little further. You got to be able to look at it in the depth of it. You have to be able to focus on God and hold on to the promise. God didn't tell him, come on, somebody, God didn't tell him that his ministry was going to grow off the Washington Post story. He just told him that I planted you here and I'm going to multiply you. Amen. And as a result of his faith and his faithfulness, well, I'm coming to tell you, I don't know how it's going to happen. That's not my business. All I know my business is to keep preaching. My business is to keep telling you. My business is to keep growing. My business is to keep bringing folk in. My business is to keep telling somebody about Jesus. You can quit if you want to. I've got to go on and see what the end's going to be. I come to you. And whatever you're waiting on in your life, whatever you've been praying for, it's no time to quit. It's time to do the word. What does the word believe? Everybody's waiting on something different. Whatever you're waiting on, you can't get it without faith. And you can't get it without trust. And trust is of no value without obedience. Because trust without obedience is not trust. When you trust, you're relying on him. When you're leaning on him, come on,